welcome to Krusty's third Nipple, the podcast as unnecessary as a free vaccine at a flat earth convention. With me, as always, are Darren.
Hello.
And Tarig.
You got us with that one.
As we catch up with what's been happening over the past week, me and Tarig pick our favourite Leonardo DiCaprio performance in Dawn in 60 Seconds, and we review the 2018 comedy Sorry to Bother You. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Krusty's Third Nipple on Apple Podcasts and give us a review with a 5-star rating. And a keg of beer may or may not be on its way to your house in time for Christmas. Get in touch via Twitter at Krusty's Nipple, and all episodes are available on Anchor and Spotify also. So guys, how are you doing?
I've been doing good.
Yeah.
Busy
Good week.
Busy week at work, but ramping down for Christmas. Getting near Christmas now.
And what have you been
Getting
watching?
in the Christmas spirit, are you, Daz?
Oh yeah, yes. You see, Dad's house is all decorated, and then this house we haven't put our tree up yet. This
No
house,
way.
but running a little bit behind, but we're doing all right. But to your question, Dad, I've watched this week a movie and came out 2016 called The Void. It's a horror movie, and it's in a very intense, almost like a thriller, and it's one of those movies that just throws you right into the action, and it just keeps you there for the full. I think it was like 90 minutes or something. But I'm not really one to kind of get too scared of horror movies, like with like kind of creatures or ghosts, whatever. It's like boo, and then it's done. But this movie just kind of ramps up and just keeps it going. And it's just some points I felt, oh damn, like it's that feeling of it's all hit the fan. And some of the practical effects in this movie are like outstanding. So I do rate movies that go for the practical effects over just the crutch of CGI.
What do you mean by that? Like someone, like a blood spatter type thing?
Well, yeah, with some of that, but like some of the creatures. I don't want to say too much about that, but yeah, but you could see like how much effort was put into it.
Yeah. What's the basic
Quite
plot,
a few
then?
big jumps.
Well,
Sorry.
it's just it's kind of it's one of those movies that starts as one thing, turns into another and another. But the first kind of scene is these two people try to escape from a house. One of them gets shot and is burnt alive. The other one runs away and bumps into a police officer, and so he's trying to piece this all together and get him to the closest hospital, which has just suffered a fire, and so all of the stuff are moving, like all the equipment and that. So it's a skeleton crew that are running this. So he's trying to find out what happened to this guy, the two people that are hunting him down, and stuff that's going on at the hospital as well. But an awesome film all around.
Sounds good.
I watched Sorry to Bother You with Leah on this Saturday, and it's fair to say that she wasn't a fan. So she picked the film for the next night, and I don't know where she got the recommendation. I don't think it was from anybody. She just kind of like on Facebook just read this thing. Oh, somebody's mentioned this. So it was Peppermint. Totally not the film that she's used to kind of like recommending or offering that we watch, but we went with it. Peppermint stars Jennifer Garner as a mother. She sees her husband and her daughter killed by a Mexican drug cartel or a Latino drug cartel, and the courts and the police all fudge the trial. So she seeks revenge, vigilante style.
Nice.
Right. So she goes from like, you find yourself questioning, why does a soccer mom go from like baking cakes to this highly skilled, cold-hearted badass? You're like, is the film pretty predictable and like one tiny twist to speak of? Yeah. But once you see what happens to the husband and the daughter, do you want to see her absolutely kick the shit out of the gang that joins the cops? You're like, fucking damn right.
Yes.
I'm in. However bad this is, I'm in.
But female desperado.
Yeah.
I like those movies. It's just like, yeah, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to think about it. It's just like, let's go.
Not moving.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched our movie, the Sorry to Bother You. Christ, that went right up my head there. So yeah, me and Izzy, beautiful wife, decided to watch that, and yeah, it wasn't her cup of tea. You should enjoyed it a fair amount. But then I said, right, okay, it's your choice, just like what you did with Leah.
Yeah.
And Izzy wanted to watch Last Christmas. So Last Christmas is, we were meant to watch it last year, but just we never got a chance to get to the cinema to catch it, so we thought we'll go for it this time. It starts Amelia Clark, and she's been through a bit of a hard time. She's had a bit of a problems with her heart, and she works at a Christmas store in London. I'm not sure if it's southeast London or wherever. And it's more or less a love story. She sees a guy outside the store, and they kind of start up this wee romance with her working in this Christmas store, and how bad her life is, and how she's trying to build herself back up. There's quite a few different laughs throughout it. It's for a rom-com. It ticks the box. It's quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you have to kind of go down the rom-com route with the missus, then I would edge to this, because Amelia Clark, I mean, she's hot as well. So
Bit of eye candy never goes amiss.
exactly. But no, I would give it a solid rating for a rom-com.
Yeah, it was funny watching Peppermint Malia. As I said, like it was not her type of film, but she obviously got into it as well. And she's like, "Oh, shoot him in the head! Shoot him in the head!"
I can never imagine Leah doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when she comes up against like the head of the cartel. So she's killed everybody else that she needs to kill. She's on the boss, and she's like, "Shoot him in the head!" And I'm like, "Nah, it's not going to be that easy. There's going to be dialogue between them. Something's going to go wrong, and this is not the end of the film. It's not that easy." And sure as like fucking Nightfall's Day, that's what happened. And there was another bit that was funny as well. She entered this kind of store that was like a business front for them, and they were all in the back upstairs counting the money, playing cards or whatever. So there was a sizable number, about a dozen or so, and it was just her. And she just wandered in with what looked like a weapon. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't a gun. And he was like, "Oh, she needs a gun, man. Why does she have a gun?"
Oh my god.
Class. So, I've got another cheeky mother-in-law story for you.
Yeah, a fan favourite.
Yeah, definitely. There's a wee bit of backstory on this one. So it all started last week, just before we done this podcast. So we normally record the podcast on a Monday. So last Monday was St Andrew's Day. So on St Andrew's Day, for those that have got kids, is normally the day that you run about trying to remember where you put the elf from the year before, which is exactly what I was trying to do before we got onto the podcast. So I was running about daft trying to find it, having a nice wee argument with Izzy, just kind of say, look, I put it there, somebody else put it there, somebody's moved it, and all this jazz. Finally sat down, went on through with the podcast. It ran a wee bit later than normal. But still got to bed fairly late. Woke up the next day, and Izzy had set out the elf on the shelf. So I was sitting in the kitchen, it was nice decorated and everything, and she wrote a nice wee note from Santa to the kids.
You mean Santa wrote that?
So Santa wrote that. Sorry, in case any kids are
and
listening.
the elf delivered
it. During the day, the kids came down, seeing the elf sitting all this jazz, and it was really good. Everybody was happy with that. I went upstairs, and usually I'm getting quite used to this life of luxury with my mother-in-law living here. Usually around about 10 o'clock-ish, she'll pop upstairs with a nice cup of coffee and maybe a cake or some biscuits and so on.
She knows you well.
Yeah, exactly. Totally fattening us up. But there was nothing came up the stairs. I was like, it's a bit unusual. So went downstairs, Just asked her, just said, hey, how you doing? Blanked us. I was like, what? What's going on here? So just throughout the day, she was just kind of being quite snippy with us. I was like, right, okay, we'll see. We'll find out for Izzy what's going on. So when Izzy got home, I asked her, I was like, Izzy, go and ask your mum what's wrong here. And she was like, oh, okay. And she started speaking Polish to her mum, and she started pointing at the letter from Santa. And Izzy's pissing herself laughing. Like, what the hell are you talking about? She said that she read the letter from Santa and she just picked out the parts, and it sounded like, and she read it as, so I'll read out the letter. It says, "Dear greedy kids, ho ho ho, it's 1st of December and I'm getting ready for Christmas. Are you? Your outside lights are beautiful. I'm sending you my elves to keep an eye on you all. Hope you like your little gifts delivered by elves this morning. Hope they behave. 25 days till Christmas. Are you going to be on my good or naughty list? Remember to help your parents and Bapcha and keep and be kind to each other. I don't want you I don't want to see any drama or not sleeping in your bed." She took that and she just picked up the parts. "Dear Brady," so this was an official letter from Izzy to me. "Ho ho ho" was "oh oh oh." She didn't understand what the 1st of December bit was, and she missed out quite a lot of the top bit. And she was like, "Remember to help me. I don't want to see any drama from you, and do not sleep in my bed." And because I got to my bed late, she thought that Izzy had told me not to come to bed because we had a big fight over this the elves. I had to sleep on the bed on the couch. So that was that.
And what the elves beside the letter is a reminder, this is what the argument's about.
Looking disapprovingly.
So I was just like,
What are you laughing at, elf?
I just couldn't work out what the hell what was wrong with her. And then when Izzy started laughing, I was just like, geez, I could see where she's pulled it from. But
That's funny. That's funny.
Lost in translation.
You ken whose side she's on now, like that. It's like without a doubt.
Oh, definitely.
God, yeah, the elf has to watch out. I thought it was going to feel the wrath of the Polish.
See the way you were going on with that, there was loads of like buzzwords that were like could be construed as different things. I thought it was going to be like, you know how you sometimes fold up a bit of paper and you see part of the message, and then you can maybe miss out the middle bit and you see the end, and if you put that together, it would be something completely different. But she basically just did that herself.
I'll put a copy of it on Twitter so you can see. It's just she missed out the big part of the top, and she just took the last few lines. And I was just like,
was the bits highlighted the bits that she's misconstrued? Like?
She's yeah. I don't want to see any drama. Sleeping in your bed. Remember to help.
I think if she saw you come out of the room in the morning, she would have went,
yeah.
Got no backstone let them there anyway.
Because I found the elves and I still missed out on my cake and coffee. What's going on?
You should do a prank with the elf, is do this like a secret code to her, and just say I'm watching you. Make sure you behave.
Yeah, I've heard some evil elf on the shelf ideas. I don't know if I'm ready to do them because some of them could be quite traumatizing. One of them was well, this is not traumatizing, but this is like the gateway to the bad ones, and it's just like getting the elf in the bed with the kid, take a picture, and then in the morning, remove the elf, and then in the morning show them the picture. When they're looking for the elf, you're just like, well, I don't know, but he sent me this.
That's scary. Right? I'm scared, mate. Even nowadays, I'm scared.
That's pretty freaky. That's pretty freaky, right? Here is it, right? And then there was another one where the elf not only gets in the bed, but cuts holes out of the pajamas that the kid's wearing that day. And so there's pictures of the elf with a pair of scissors or something.
Going about with scissors and that. It's getting down the route of Chucky though.
So it's like,
Yeah, a bit of child's play.
who did that? Who cut my jammies? Oh, that was the elf. What, when I was sleeping? And
Saying that, I wouldn't mind doing that to Brandon. And just having the knife sitting just outside the bed. Freak him right out.
And then this last one, I think, is the worst. The parents had like chicken, a whole chicken, the night or two before, but they saved all the bones. So they took a picture. They took the elf's clothing and put the bones in the elf as if they had two elves. This is it. They had two elves. So they're taking the clothes off one of the elves, put bones in it. So with the hat on, with the bone and the arms and everything, as if. And then the other elf sitting there with a smiling face with like a knife and fork.
It's eating the other elf. No.
I'm like, see, in a few years, I will do them, but not yet.
With children, their imaginations just run wild as well. So if they see that, they'll just think, "Oh, actually, the worse."
Oh, definitely. But when they get to that age.
It's funny.
That'll be good fun, Mike.
There will definitely be an age where that is really funny.
Oh, definitely.
Right now, I think it'll be worth it.
I think it'll be tears with Poppy, but I feel like with Rudy, you'll just start a fight with it. Like,
I don't want to give him any ideas.
Yeah, head on.
Yeah.
My problem is Evie's quite conniving and quite dark, so I think she would kind of run with it a wee bit. And she'd start doing things and then blaming it on the elf.
You quickly turn into the victim of the story here.
Oh, definitely.
If that elf's capable of eating another doll, then it's capable of doing a lot less than that as well.
Yeah.
So you've heard us stutter through a few episodes now, and if you're thinking I could do better than they three rapes, then you're probably right. You can even do it right from your mobile phone. The free Anchor app has all the tools to record and edit your podcast, and Anchor will do all the distribution to places like Apple Podcasts and Spotify for you. You can even make money right from the start. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Here's Tarig's mother-in-law to tell you more.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
There you go. Simply download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Just remember to plug in your mic.
The best place to listen to Krusty third Nipple. It's nice.
So this week's Christmas jukebox is from the world of funk and soul, where there's an absolute ton of songs to choose from. James Brown has got an entire Christmas album. It's all class, but there's one song in particular called Santa Claus Goes Straight to the Ghetto, which is amazing. There's an album from Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, which is full of bangers, but there's a song called Big Bulbs. Again, that's the favourite of that one. But the one I'm going to recommend is a cover of Jingle Bells by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Like, everybody knows the song Jingle Bells, right? And it's a pain in the arse listening to the kids' versions of it. But when you're in the car and you're listening to a soul version of it, you're kind of like thinking, they can get away with this. It's a good song. The kids can sing along with it because they ken the words. But you've never heard it sung like Smokey Robinson does. He puts so much into it. The song, the arrangement is so good that you forget it's Jingle Bells until you catch yourself belting out, "Oh, what fun it is to ride" at the top of your voice. It's really, really good. I only kind of noticed it last year and absolutely tore it out on Deezer. Played it hundreds and hundreds of times. So I'll put a thread up with these again. It should be probably a super long one for soul and funk Christmas songs. There's loads out there. Shout out to Stealth on Twitter for recommending the Eagles. Please Come Home for Christmas.
Stephen James Alexander Carr.
There's another great album called A Christmas Gift to You from Phil Spector. It's songs by Motown artists like the Ronettes, the Crystals, Darlene Love. They've got Christmas bells, saxophone solos, and all the wall of sound magic you'd expect from a genius producer he is, like Phil Spector. But this is the very same Phil Spector who is currently serving time for the murder of actress Lana Clarkson in 2003. So, without going into the nitty-gritty of that case, I thought it'd be quite good to speak about whether you could separate the art from the artist. Is it still okay for me to listen and enjoy the music of Phil Spector? Is it easier to do that than, say, the songs of Michael Jackson because he's not the one singing it? Do you know what I mean?
Or listen to a wee bit of Gary Glitter as you're going on the school run.
That'd get you put on some lists, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember one of our friends, they went to a kids' party and they had Gary, or barbecue or something. They were at like a bouncy castles and they had the Gary Glitter playing in the background. I've never
Yeah.
seen that video. I was thinking, it's just, you just feel a wee bit too uneasy. Even now, when you hear Michael Jackson coming on, still you're in two minds before you break out in that hee hee or anything before you look around to see if there's any kids kicking about.
It certainly forces you to think about loads of where you sit. I remember a philosophy. I took philosophy at uni, and there was one sort of exercise that you had to do, and it was like if 100 people are going to get ill or 1 people die, what would you do? That was 100 people get ill, easy. 100 people get seriously ill or 1 person dies. Okay, probably still 100 people seriously ill. But they just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. It's like, leave me alone.
Yeah. And that's a good metaphor for kind of like with the art and the artist, because like some people could say kind of, well, I still want to listen to Michael Jackson, but if I read this other person's book, I feel bad or something like that. It's kind of very personal.
Well, you've got your Mike Tyson. He's been in jail for rape, and Tupac and all that. They've been all the gangsters. They're all still been done with drugs and murder and everything else, and they're still selling countless records. What's he's 69? He's snitched on everybody, and he's still managing to sell the.
And I'm sure if
records,
you look hard enough into the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, none of them are complete angels.
Oh, exactly.
I feel with like the gangsters and stuff like that, it's not too kind of surprising when stuff comes out about them, no matter kind of how horrid it might be. So you kind of almost know you kind of get into dangerous territory already. But it's when it's someone like you just didn't expect or something like that to come out.
Yeah. Well, they
shocking.
They sell themselves on that being that image.
Yeah.
Whether that's acceptable is a matter for the audience, I suppose. There was a good podcast from the New York Times a few months ago, and it was about the return to comedy of Louis C.K. Louis C.K., comedian in America, and he was, like you say, caught up in the Me Too movement. Wasn't, as far as I'm aware, convicted of. Not that I'm putting this any worse or better than other things, but his case was masturbating in public, and the abuse was was sexual.
I think he might have
nature.
done it in front of like invited people in and then did it and stuff like that.
And they felt cornered and trapped and everything and absolutely uncomfortable.
Fear,
Yeah. So, and it was multiple times. There was loads of cases of this.
Same people?
No, loads of allegations.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, watch your eye.
Well, I guess
Louis,
I guess it might be like an abusive relationship. You know, you can't speak out. And
and there's a power struggle there as well, because he's kind of rich and famous, and other people listening. So the podcast never touched on anything he did or didn't do. You know that you get these comedy clubs that the famous comedians kind of just drop in unannounced to try out their stuff and material. So there was one in New York. So they have a bill of, here's people that you're definitely going to see. But people go there knowing full well that back in the day, Robin Williams might have walked in, or a Chris Rock, and just, tried out the new material. So in this time, Louis C.K. did. And he got a cheer. Most people liked it. And he actually said a joke which mentioned rape. It wasn't about rape. It was about, the joke was like the saying, clean as a whistle. But he says, which whistle? Not all whistles are clean. Certainly not a rape whistle. And I think at that, people actually left. People are uncomfortable. And the guy who was on the podcast, getting questioned, was the guy who owns it. And he said, he wasn't there at the time. He didn't know this will happen until the next day. But he said, if you're ever uncomfortable, you can leave. Bills on us, drinks on us, tabs paid, and no harm done. He was putting the onus on them, and I can agree with him to a certain extent. Who's the guy? Who's the manager, the owner? Why should he be the person who says you're good enough or you're not? Public opinion says you, but not you. He just lets anybody play, and if people walk out, if they want to stay, they stay.
I think that's a good attitude.
Done something, if you've committed a crime and you've served time, or you've been through the courts due process and all this, then criminal, you should still be able to get on with your life. I mean, and then his life as comedian, he can go in and just do whatever he likes. So he's just another standard comedian. And if you're going in to see comedians like that, then I'm guessing you should have a good knowledge that there's going to be some dodgy jokes, especially when it's up and coming comedians who are just trying to make a name from themselves.
I think there's two things that stand out to me. I think Louis C.K. always kind of had that sense of humor. I'm guessing, kind of more dark humor, but I don't think that joke is necessarily that bad. I can see some people being uncomfortable with it, but when you said it, and it made me feel it's because he said it, and there's that prior knowledge of what he has done.
Takes some
allegedly.
Takes some cojones to after what he's done and to put that in. It's not a joke about rape, but even just mentioning the word is.
Jimmy Carr slags himself off for tax avoidance. I know it's a different level, but it's still same.
So you own
moralities.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of being self-aware almost.
I think comedians can do that. They've got a different kind of mindset from most people.
They shouldn't be able to be they should be scared into not saying things.
And
I suppose the audience should obviously have the right to just accept that, or these people, as you said, they just left, and that was okay. They didn't kick up a fuss or anything. They just kind of silently left. But I think as soon as you start saying certain people can't do certain or say certain things, that's when more people have a problem. But to get away from Louis C.K., one of the most famous kind of artist things in wrestling was Chris Benoit. And he, I don't know if any listeners might not know him, but he was a very popular professional wrestler for quite some time. He definitely had a peak at a time where it was just kind of the same old Triple H's and John Cena's and stuff. He kind of rose at that time and became like a new name.
Well, would you say with WCW, his career there was probably best part of 20 years, would you say?
Yeah, he was definitely really popular there too, but that's when they kind of that's when in their kind of cruiserweight division, so it was kind of looked down upon by they'd had some of the best matches for sure, but people were there to see like Hogan and stuff. They were awesome, but at the NWO and all that stuff going on. But he due to either steroid misuse, brain trauma, like CTE, loads of kind of other stuff, ended up having a murder suicide of his family and unfortunately himself as well. And since then, he's just been kind of blacklisted from wrestling. He's not been mentioned. And there was actually a good documentary, The Dark Side of the Ring, and his episodes there. I'll go into more detail, but ever since then, he's still being held in high regard by the fans, and they want him in the WWE Hall of Fame, and like just regarded and put on this pedestal as not only just a great wrestler, but like they almost want to just kind of do away with that past. So it's weird because he had done a horrible thing, but most people, a lot of people out there, if you ask them, still look past that. And it's weird how someone can be, I don't want to use the word cancelled, but or just kind of that same theme, and like that's it, no more chances for a lot less. But for him, I get it. He was kind of a victim too, because like he's not a psychopath. He didn't want to do those things. He was obviously mentally very unwell at that time. But people just kind of like don't see it as much of a problem and still want him to be regarded as for his work in professional wrestling as one of the best. So certainly a strange one.
That's quite interesting. Would you say that if the WWE changed tack, which they have done, they cancelled Hogan and brought him back?
Yeah.
If they did, and Benoit was on the highlight reel back in the game in the Hall of Fame, would that almost be an admission then that they played a part in his, potentially played a part in his demise?
I don't know if that'd be a mission, but if he wasn't a professional wrestler and if one of his moves wasn't the flying headbutt, which you would do off of the top rope off ladders, and he'd literally fly and headbutt someone who's lying on the ground.
You're going to have to demonstrate this, Darren, and we'll get that posted on Twitter.
You do that 1,000 times. You do that 1,000 times in your life, and that was back in the time still when it had like over the head like steel chair hits, and do that 1,000 times. And just like you take bumps as a wrestler, when people make mistakes as well, you're gonna get hit hard, you're gonna get dropped on your head, and so definitely it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't a professional wrestler. But
there's still a lot of other wrestlers that have been through the same.
Yeah, there's wrestlers that are fine, and there's people that haven't wrestled that have done that.
I get that it's a 0.1% chance of somebody going out and who's got mental disabilities or and then kind of getting smashed in the head.
I've seen that equated to kind of like some army vets or something like that go back and they see stuff, or they take too many hits and they come back and they're not the same person. That's what happened slowly to Chris Benoit. His family, they just slowly didn't see the same Chris Benoit anymore.
Okay.
And so it wasn't just that, one hit and he's crazy now, like it was just one too many. But with WWE, they have changed tack, as you said before, with Hogan, and even with like petty stuff with Jeff Jarrett. He once held up the belt and said, "I'm going to leave with this belt," and then he got fired personally on live TV, like proper, and he got brought back and is put in the Hall of Fame. I know it's not the same as murder suicide, but that's a grudge. And
this is a massive tangent, by the way. But what was the issue with the Warrior?
The Warrior.
He was too ultimate.
I think I can't remember. I don't know too much about the Ultimate Warrior, but he was just like an arse apparently.
Right. Okay.
Was he not roided up? Well, they're all pretty.
Definitely to the gills. But
he was effectively cancelled by them, was he? And then he came back, had this moment, got in the Hall of Fame, and then died.
But there's even wrestlers, I think I might go on to the Hall of Fame, called the Jimmy Snuka.
Jimmy Fly Snuka.
I believe it was him anyway. And he ended up, like, he was abusing the woman he was with, and then she ended up being murdered. And everyone thought, oh, it's this guy. Yeah. And apparently WWE or WWF, whatever company it was at the time, I think it was Snuka anyway, kind of swept it under the rug. So there's big cases of people getting their hands dirty, but Benoit is just a different beast entirely.
So yeah, Smokey Robinson, Jingle Bells, get that on your Christmas list. And we'll be back for Dawn in 60 seconds.
Okay, we're back for this week's instalment of Dawn in 60 Seconds. Following on from last week, where we've had a bit of a split in the decision making because Connor, the judge of last week, gave Darren the result, but on Twitter, it was an absolute. It was
The champ. The champ is here. The champ is here.
But as usual, Twitter's never wrong, and an absolute landslide victory of 93%.
I have something to take up with you though, Dad. I saw the tweet in the thread. You tagged about 4 or 5 different Snyder Cut accounts.
Yeah.
So I did think there's a rigged election, not to get on Trumpian yet, but we need to recount the votes. Get the right votes in the right places.
Better. It's okay. One day you might be Don like me.
I
I should be a 2-time Don.
I did look for Twitter accounts that believe that the Snyder Cut should not be released, but they just didn't exist. So what can I do?
They're everyone else in the world.
Yeah, they're everybody else. Yeah. So this week it will be Tarig defending his title against me, and what we're going to do.
Actually, Kieran, I might actually just retire now and.
Just hang up the gloves.
This is the losers bracket of the Dawn 60 Seconds. Yeah.
Oh. Well, at least one of us will have a victory after this. We are going to pick our favourite Leonardo DiCaprio, not film, but performance, and then put our arguments in a minute, and Darren will pick the winner. So who's going first?
It's got to be Beauty Before Age, is it? so I'll take that one.
Who's that? Okay, it's you.
Come on, Darren. It's obvious.
And Darren, you're going to shout something when the minute's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to wait and see, but yeah.
Be imaginative. Right, I'll let you come to it.
Okay. We'll give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. You can pick from almost any of his movies, but I went for Django Unchained, as this is the first movie Leo hasn't been the headline star in 16 years, and his second villain movie since Man in the Iron Mask. Less said about the movie, the better. So no need to put his name in the top line because he will make it his anyway. For me, this movie shows how strong the actor he is. He is able to steal scenes from an amazing lineup of actors like Samuel L. Jackson, Jamie Foxx, Chris Waltz, and Kerry Washington, to name but a few. Secondly, his natural disdain he has for his own character, narcissistic, rotten from the inside, worst of the worst, easily the worst character he has played, and the fact that if he had not played it well, it would ruin the whole believability of the film. In the infamous scene where he cut his hand, to the horror of the other actors, and continued in character, just to show how he was destined to play this role and make it his own. I've got one more line to go.
No cigar. All right, on to you, Dad. I'll give you the same count.
Okay.
5, 4, 3,
hang a bit.
2, 1, go.
Gangs of New York, The Aviator, The Departed, The Wolf of Wall Street. The Scorsese DiCaprio Dream Team has produced a cinematic masterclass, so it's not a leap to suggest that Marty often brings out the best in our Leo. So I turn to another collaboration in which his performance tops the lot, and that's Shutter Island. In this tense thriller, DiCaprio plays a US Marshal haunted by the murder of his wife while trying to investigate a missing inmate at a 1950s mental facility. A series of events leads Daniels to question the difference between reality and his own imagination, while the answers he seeks remain excruciatingly out of touch. While the film is long, DiCaprio keeps the viewer gripped with a display of turmoil that he had never before shown on screen, and his harrowing realization of the full extent of his tragic past
not only makes the film, but it's quite simply the finest scene of DiCaprio's career. To keep us watching while fostering such uncertainty is the mark of a truly great actor. We out.
Damn, you had several seconds to spare there.
Oh, that's just showing off.
All right, so
Can I
Two
add
good-
my last line into his last 7 seconds?
no. Two good arguments and two great performances and two great movies as well. So it's kind of hard to go through. But Tarig, you're right with Leo being a standout performance, standout character as well in Django Unchained.
And the great cast.
Yeah, among that great cast as well. But Dad, you're right as well as saying that the movie Shutter Island kind of lives and dies on Leo's performance. If it's not quite up to snuff, then the movie itself kind of tanks. But I think the almost argument works against you, Tara, because there's still a lot of talent to support that movie. Not to crap on the talent in Shutter Island, but
And a great director.
Well, Tarantino, I didn't even mention him.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to give it to Shutter Island.
Standout scene from that.
But it's a standard movie. It's a standard every second he's on screen with Shutter Island, and he's got a lot more to do. He's a side character in Django.
In short, I win.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give the win to Dad here. There's so many more scenes. There's so more into his character that he has to convey with Shutter Island. So got to give the Dawn to Dad.
That's okay. I'll just take to Twitter to just make sure that my
followers. I'll give Django and Chained accounts. I don't care.
Oh, there's bound to be more Tarantino nuts. Okay.
Tarantino versus Scorsese Twitter fights. I like to see that.
Oh, that's a good debate. Scorsese or Tarantino.
Although, given how late we've made this week, so it'll be a short poll in terms of time frame.
So get your votes in.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now time to discuss the 2018 film. Sorry to bother you.
So we're back to debate. I said debate again.
You want to debate this one, do it?
What debate? This is not the Dawn. It's not the Dawn.
No, it could end up into a debate.
He wins a Dawn and wants to start debating everyone and everything.
Right now, this is it.
Your big priest boots.
Don King. So sorry to bother you.
You wish you had Don King's hair.
I wish I had any hair, mate. It was released on the 7th of December 2018. The number one song in the UK at that time was Lost Without You by Freya Ridings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, after last week's Blueface or whatever it was, I thought, you know what, I'm going to listen to it. And you have heard it. I'm pretty sure you've heard it.
Okay.
How's it go?
A rendition, perhaps.
If you're not going to sing Chocolate Salty Balls, I'm not going to sing fucking Lost Without
Saying
You.
about you see my balls are big and salty and brown. You ever need a quick pick me up? Just stick my balls in your mouth. Ooh. Stuck on my chocolate salty balls. Put it in your mouth and suckle.
You can tell how many beers he is down now.
I love that song.
So
how does it go, Kieran?
Yeah, fuck knows, mate. I can't remember. My only note for that is you've probably heard it, but you don't know it. That's it. The number one film at the UK and the US box office was Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Ah, yes.
I think it was Wreck-It Ralph.
I think Wreck-It Ralph was better.
Same.
Nah, I like the Disney princess part at the end, where they're all kind of helped
Disney
Ralph
princesses.
defeat the big. Well, just with the amount of women I've got controlling the TV remote, then yes, I do like princesses stuff. And I am a princess.
So sorry to bother you. is a 2018 American dark comedy. Follows a young black cold calling salesman who he's not very rich, as Connors explained last week. He lives in his uncle's basement, and to succeed at the job, he's kind of urged by his colleague Danny Glover, not Donald Glover, to
Sorry.
adopt.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Because Donald Glover is the guy who's in Atlanta and with Keith Stanfield. So yeah, Danny Glover urges him to put on a white voice to succeed at the job, and lo and behold, he shoots up the ranks, finds himself. What's the prize that get the
A power collar.
power collar?
And the gold elevator.
He gets to use the gold elevator up to the top floor of this office building to earn the big bucks. But in that, it kind of forces him to choose between doing well, making money, and keeping in with his girlfriend and activist friends who are campaigning to kind of create unions and better pay amongst
the lower
the
people
workforce.
on the ground floor, yeah.
So he gets caught up in that. And as he rises up, what he begins to sell is the very slave labour that his friends in the whole city of Oakland are fighting against.
Yeah, and
With
what
him as
he
well.
was once a part of, yeah.
Yeah.
So as I said,
He's part of-
Lakeith Stanfield's in this, and he's in Atlanta.
Great actor, yeah.
Yeah, the film I'd seen him in, I think the one that's kind of caught my eye is Get Out.
Yes.
He
He was in another one as well.
He is also in
So
Uncut Gems.
that's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Because he's Adam Sandler's kind of contact.
yeah. The guy who just keeps fobbing him off. He's coming. He's coming. The guy's always coming. You know, the money's coming, sort of thing. And he plays Snoop in Straight Outta Compton as well.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember if that's a massive part. I don't suppose it is.
I think it's like a bit part
No,
of the bit
yeah,
because
yeah.
I think he plays his one of his favorite songs.
Yeah,
It's like the creation of it.
Uh,
but I think
it's
on you go, Tarig.
it's great to see that these actors coming from Atlanta that are getting bigger and bigger parts. Because Atlanta was great series. I'm gutted that they only stopped it at 2 seasons. They are going a lot bigger, and it's good to see. So,
Because
there you go.
his uncle, and sorry to bother you, is in Atlanta as well.
It's
He was a
Terry
big-
Crews.
Big guy.
Terry Crews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, he's hilarious. He's a great actor.
He's good.
Seeing one of the scenes, Terry Crews, it's like one of his family members. It's a wee girl, and she's still built like a fair mountain. It's brilliant. Classic.
Terry Crews is a great guy as well. I think he regularly streams or does YouTube videos of him playing like video games and stuff like that. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, so the film goes on. There's a kind of massive evil company called Worry Free, which, as we've touched on before, sells labour, sells cheap labour, and the people they employ work in terrible conditions in a factory system, like super efficient. They live on site. They kind of live in the factory. They eat in their beds on the factory. So they've created this.
The people are the product. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Cassius, who is Lakeith Stanfield's character, his job now is to sell them to other companies.
See some of the kind of like wee adverts that were kind of within the movie throughout it. It kind of felt a wee bit like RoboCop type adverts that were.
Yeah.
Remember the original?
I'd buy that
RoboCop
for
where
a
you would get
dollar.
exactly. I'd buy that for a dollar. And then this one would be what was it? I'd punch you in the puss. Oh, what was it?
I kick the shit out of you. I got
the
shit kicked out of me. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of wee twist on there. I couldn't place it there until you actually mentioned it there. I just kind of thought, actually, RoboCop. That's where these wee adverts that would come up and just kind of,
So RoboCop's a lot more obviously dystopian, but this is kind of
Mm.
dystopian but normalized. You
But
know,
it's present day, isn't it?
yeah.
Mm.
This
But
is
it's
not in
kinda
the
like-
future. There's no like flying cars or anything like that. This is
No.
now.
Uh-huh.
If it's normalized in a way that like some other bad things in the world are,
Mhm.
and people don't. Like Blake and I too. So you could literally go on a show and be humiliated, beaten, and that's it. Like, it's just normal. Or work at Worry Free and do these adverts like, oh, I can always eat in my bed, and we get like rations of food, and everyone's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, it just feels like a world that's given up, you know, almost.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that leads like how absurd the TV show is, where somebody just literally goes on and gets beat up in front of people, and it's the most popular TV show that's on at the time. Kind of points to a general malaise. You know, they've just given up,
Mhm.
and there's no thought process. They're reducing. They're going back to fucking the state of nature where they came from.
So a bit like America.
Sorry to any American listeners.
There's one. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but there was like a billboard, which back when, well, not back when, but a famous sort of real estate advert from the 60s was, if you lived here, you'd be home by now, and that was kind of aimed at selling houses to people who are driving home from work, you know, on these long commutes. So instead of, so it was kind of like, instead of you driving another half an hour to get home, buy a house here, and you'd be home by now. But in this film, it's, if you lived here, you'd be at work by now. There's a little play on that, yeah.
I never caught that. I'd heard that billboard before, but yeah, I think that the billboard is also like, I don't know if it's the same one, but it's like in one area, it's like normalized, when the other one it's been like vandalized by the Left Eye group,
Yeah,
and
that's
so it
right,
has
yeah.
like a different different meaning.
I'm not
if-
sure if that was the same one. I think that was just a worry-free
Yeah.
one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, it's a lot of
so
messaging under the surface.
hmm Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I mean, there's the signs, even what's the his girlfriend's earrings?
Detroit.
They kept
Oh, the
Detroit. Yeah, that
earrings.
was it. She's always got different kind of slogans or song lyrics on her earrings, and it was just kind of, you've got to really pay quite a lot of attention to all the little news clippings or things that are going on in the background on the TV and things like that. It's really well done, the way they've got this kind of little snippets which help bring the story along and keeps getting those little digs at the America and how they're kind of turning slaves and loads to kind of pick up on. It'll be good to go back and rewatch as well.
A standout
Try and
thing
pick
for
up on
me
this.
was that Keith Stanfield's quote-unquote white voice was David Cross. I just recognized his voice instantly. But a funny thing I liked, Danny Glover was saying, it's not so much as just a white voice, more just like a carefree, my future set, like a life that's so opposite to Cassius's own. He's
Yeah.
full of worry, full of self-doubt. Even when he's walking, a lot of the time he's hunched over. I noticed that a lot. Even when he's around his friends, but when he comes like a power call, he's more like extrovert, more confident, more self-assured.
Except when he's
And
getting hit in
it's
the
just-
head with a Coke can.
If he was hunched for that, I would have hit his head. So,
Yeah.
but
He's a power
Just there's
caller.
so many-
He's got his head high.
Yeah.
but there's such like little things like that. It's like it's like Keith's touches of the character that really put it to me. When he's using David Cross's voice, even though he's boy, I think he starts speaking with his hands a lot more, and he just becomes he has that personality within him now.
Because he ends up putting on the white voice more than he wants to. He wake up and he's
Yeah.
speaking the white voice,
Uh-huh.
and that kind of furthers the gap between him and his girlfriend. What do you guys think about the white voice anyway, being dubbed badly?
I thought it could have added some humor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
like-
definitely did. Yeah, it's funny as hell. I did like
Yeah.
this movie. I thought it was. My wife said that she read a quote about this movie where it's where the person said that it's either a 4 or a 10 all the way through the movie, you're thinking, "Oh, this is crap." It's a 4 out of 10, and then
Yeah.
2 seconds later, it's right back up to a 10 out of 10 type of
Yeah.
movie.
That's a very, very
It
good
goes
point.
up,
Yeah.
I
it's
got
so
that as well.
up and down with it.
The particularly like bad parts of the film for me was Detroit's performance. You know, the length
I
of
didn't
that.
get that.
Yeah, I didn't get that. It was-
One thing that annoyed me about that, so was that tangent, but she got on to Cassius about using a white voice, but for her performance and the whole time she's there to entertain the rich folk, she uses a posh British accent.
yeah,
I don't know if you got that, but
yeah.
it's like, "Oh, greetings, everybody."
Who is that was Lily James, by the
Yeah.
way, just on
Mm.
IMDb.
There's a lot of wee plot things that you would think, "Oh, well, that could well why," and
Yeah,
then
and
if it starts coming into
it's-
it, and
in the manner, you know, what's his name? Steve Lift.
Army Hammer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
So Steve Lift is the worry-free boss. He's the head
CEO,
honcho.
yeah.
Yeah, CEO. In his house, he throws a party, but there was bits of that dragged. You know, it was like, well, hurry up and do something. I think it was
Supposed
like
to be a kick-ass party. Yeah.
after the rap, but before he actually meets
the rap was
the-
funny as anything.
You
I was
know,
in
it was just-
stitches with the rap.
But you like that?
Sorry.
didn't
That
you?
was, it was hilarious, but it did fit into a lot of the stuff before, because throughout the movie, he is like called out by people for supposedly not being quote unquote black enough or doing black things, like even down to how he prepares his noodles and stuff.
Yeah.
Squeeze is like, "Oh, you're not." Oh, it wasn't Squeeze. It was his other friend. I forgot his name actually. But he's like, "Oh, you're not doing that the black way." It's just like
Salvador.
Salvador.
Mm.
And it's just so many other ways where he's expected to have acted another way. Like
Yeah.
even
This,
when Danny Glover says, "Oh, you're using a black voice too much. You use a white voice." He's like, "Well, people say my voice isn't black enough already." Or when he's with Steve Lift in the manor, Steve's like, "Oh, you've popped a cap in someone before, haven't you?" And he's like, "I haven't murdered anyone, no." It's just like
And I
you've
can't rap.
rapped, yeah.
and this was him
It's
just
like,
performing
no.
for the white people, just like, "Oh, this is what you guys want to hear," and it's just nigger shit, nigger shit, nigger shit, nigger shit,
Nigger shit,
nigger shit,
nigger shit,
nigger shit. And I was just like, "Oh my god!"
And they
this
start
is
saying it back
brilliant.
to him,
Yeah.
and there's like, it's like,
And-
"Oh no."
But you see that Mr. Blanc, I don't understand why you weren't able to
I was
hear.
gonna
his
ask
last
you that
name.
as well. Yeah.
Aye.
What did you guys think of that?
Don't know why. I was
I don't
trying
get
to
that, yeah.
think that because he was almost from Django Uncut. He was almost like Steven, already submissive to the white man,
Right. Okay.
and he
So-
was, and
Who-
because
he
of
might
that,
have
he had his name taken away.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was
maybe
a whitewashing of his
Yeah.
kind of history, his past.
Mhm.
That-
So you think even
that
his
makes sense.
original name was taken, he's just adopted the white personality 100%, and he's just
Yeah.
taking a white name or something, like a
Which is
C
great. He's
or something, you
Aye.
know.
He's Power. Any of you watched Power on was it Netflix?
I haven't.
HBO maybe.
No.
He's the main actor in that, and he's
Okay.
good at it. He's really good at it. But he plays this part really well.
Yeah, because he's the one that.
Sorry, Kieran, we interrupted you. As soon
Yeah,
as you
go ahead.
mentioned the
Rapping thing. Oh, no,
rapping
it was
part.
just no, I was just kind of following on from what you said about the film going up and down, and there was gaps in the party. The party seemed to drag on. It had different kind of facets of it, but I was just like, what's going to happen here? But as soon as he sees the Equisapien, that's when the film
Yeah.
comes, isn't it?
Yeah, and for people that didn't watch the movie, they are half man, half horse creatures created by the Worry Free to be the solution to humans.
The workforce of the future.
Yeah, and stop people from
Uh-huh.
whinging for making it the horses.
Yeah. So you create these super workers. They're stronger, they're quicker. I don't know if they're more intelligent necessarily, but they don't need to be intelligent to do the
So
kind
it's
of
a
work.
labor, yeah.
Yeah, it's just they need manpower. Horsepower's stronger, so they create half man, half horses.
See what's mad? I was watching, I was educating my twin girls a couple of days ago on Thundercats,
Right.
and they had a slave labour of Equisapiens in that.
Did they? Yeah.
No
yeah,
way.
aye. And then I kind of started making us think when I seen this. I was like, where else have I seen that? And it was
Have you?
almost like Pinocchio, where the slave labour get turned into donkeys and
Donkeys,
and
yeah.
this is kind of
yeah.
the whole. I was just like, man, as soon as people start dosing you with horse meat, Tesco's, then we need to start watching them.
Shout out to our Tesco listeners.
Yep.
I feel like that might be the remains of a few Tesco workers that's trying to start a union, perhaps, with the whole horse meat scandal.
I've got a story about that.
Oh god. But yeah, a lot of the kind of stuff I enjoyed was the montage where he first uses his white voice and it's successful. And he's just closing deal after deal after deal. And he's just like, yeah, and he's high-fiving people, and his manager's like, come on.
Yeah. And they're
Just stuff
so,
like that
they're,
is
they're so
buzzing.
white, both of them. Stanfield and his bosses are so white that they keep missing the high fives and they try and do all these fucking cool handshakes, and it's just cringe. But funny. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to be cringe.
Yeah.
Again, it points to how he is not the blackest black guy that's out there.
I say throughout the movie, obviously with the whole unions kind of strife going on, he's always kind of hesitant to get into there. I feel like he's hesitant to stand up and to speak for something. But then when he also gets the chance for a promotion, now there's more of a personal thing in there, and it's between when they have the actual the strike, the no work thing where they put the phones down, and he's trying to put his fist up as well, and they're all chanting. He's not really saying it because he doesn't want to be seen as bad to the managers, but he also wants to be seen doing it from by his girlfriend as well. And so throughout the movies, he's always caught in two minds about the morality versus his, because he's always been a loser. You know, he's always not had success, and for the first time in his life, he's doing well. Something, he's getting paid, and then having that taken away from you. And by all your best friends and your girlfriend saying, no, this is wrong, this is evil. You're like, what would you do? You know, you're just sacrificing your own pride and future for...
And he starts living it up. He's got a new apartment, he's got the new cars, the big TV. And she's there as well. She's living in the apartment, you know.
Yeah. She's happy to take it when it benefits her, but,
Points,
you know... I didn't really like it. Finishes a bit of a hypocrite, especially with the whole voice thing as well. But
I thought that she was going to end up. Remember where what's the guy from
Squeeze,
Walking Dead, Squeeze. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See when he was in the front of the rally and he starts talking about STDs and things like that, and then them two kind of getting on. I kind of thought, well, she's going to end up with an STD. Because because he was chanting about it and shouting about it, and then them two.
Her term for what they got up to was everything but.
Yeah, aye.
So
that annoyed me as well. That was like one.
Darren. You can still catch from everything but. Okay.
But no, I'm not talking about that.
That's talking from experience.
No.
You're misconstrued here. What annoyed me as well is because they had the falling out, Cassius and Detroit, and then they break up, and it's the next day he still goes there, even though he has that party, his choice of big massive promotion, he get his life set. He still goes to her performance without really not knowing what it is, and that same night she gets with the Squeeze. I felt like I was like, wow, it's the night after you broke up, and you saw him like an hour ago.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
party reminded me
I'm
of.
kind
of
of glad. Sorry, Kieran. I'm just kind of glad that Negan bashed his head in with a baseball bat after that.
Yeah. After seeing this, yeah.
Oh,
Because
sorry,
he
spoiler.
said that he said that in a previous work where like he just goes to workforce to cause trouble and be seen as like a Jesus with the unions, and it probably gets with whoever girls he can get along the way.
Definitely, yeah.
So I feel like
Yeah,
this guy's
didn't like
doing
it.
a good cause, but he's a manipulator as well. I wouldn't trust him.
But he does say
Yeah.
a good line in this, and it's, if you show people a problem but they don't know what to do about it, they just learn to get used to it. And
Yeah, that's true.
and that kind of is quite pointed when the worry, right? So Cassius figures out what's going on with the half man, half horse, breaks the story on live TV, gets punched in the face to tell his story.
Yeah.
And the stock in the company worry free actually rises because companies seem to think, oh, they're actually onto something here, and they do
Everyone
it
thinks
well.
it's genius. Yeah.
And the world keeps turning. You know,
Yeah.
nobody knows what to do with this. Nobody's seen this before. They're going to make more money. We can't stop it. May as well just carry on.
Rich get richer. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll always find a way. But yeah, I felt like he did have to get, not to make a pun, but he had to get knocked off his high horse a little bit. And get the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah. But he did kind of
learn
find
humility.
himself, didn't he? He did find himself.
Yeah.
Like that was his.
And that's when-
calling. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, a horrifying moment though when Annie Hammer or Steve Lift is showing him the video and just kind of like documenting what's going to happen with the whole transformation.
Mhm.
You need to take like a drug to become a horse human.
That was a good
And
moment.
it just he was like,
Uh-huh.
because a couple minutes ago
He'd already taken a big line of coke.
yeah, and you think, oh no.
Yeah. I actually made that
My
very
heart
same noise.
dropped.
I
Yeah.
actually made that noise. I was like, oh.
But yeah, definitely. Oh, a great moment. Did you actually stick
Oh.
around for like the mid-credit scene?
No.
No.
So, well,
That's the problem with
movie-
Netflix. It just moves off, man.
The
I hate
movie kind of Doug's
That's the
at
problem with
mid-credits,
being
but
old. You just don't think that there's anything in the credits.
you might have actually seen it because there was a credit and the next thing, but the movie ends with he moves back into his uncle's garage, but he does it up with all his like apartment
Oh yeah,
furniture
no, I
and
did see
stuff.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he turns to the horse like,
Ah.
oh no. But the thing after the credits is that him and all his horse friends
Yeah. saw that.
turn up to Steve Left's
Ah.
house and kick in the door. But
That's
yeah,
not a
so
mid-credit
it's-
one. That was like 5
I just
seconds
wanted to
after
make
it.
sure.
Damn, come on.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Ah.
to make sure.
Cheers,
But you
man.
guys
I
are
thought
saying
you were
click
talking
off
like-
stuff.
Because
Uh-huh.
that kind of wraps up the film, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
kind of
Uh-huh.
makes
But I
it.
feel like
you
that
come to
could have
terms
been an
with his-
ending.
Yeah. So.
That could have been an ending of itself, though, just him turning. That could have just been the ending.
See,
yeah,
And then they
yeah.
hit credits. They do hit credits,
For
so
me-
I just wanted to make sure.
for me, this all kind of made it more in Hammer's kind of in the way his plan was wanting to be. He was always going to want him to rise up and bring all the horse people and all the people onto his way of thinking, on
Yeah.
Cassius's way
Yeah.
of thinking. So now that he'd kind of ditched the corporate side and he'd fully invested in making sure that everyone kind of went against the company, he was able to then turn around and go, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
What's the name of the company?
Worry go
free.
view or worry free.
Yeah, worry free. So fuck you, worry free. I'm
Yeah.
one of the people, and now he's a horseman, and now he can then lead them, and you would just need to get him back on his side and get him to.
Yeah, he
run the
did kind of
horseman.
blow up in his face because he did end up into a horse MLK, as Arnie Hammer put it.
Yeah.
But he was
Not the
he
one
was
he
trying to
called
make him
for.
as a puppet,
Aye.
but in this way he
Yeah.
actually is a revolutionary.
So that
Aye.
makes was it Omari Hardwick, so Mr. Black, his character more of a house nigger, isn't it? Because he's a facilitator.
Oh, definitely.
Because he's the guy
Yeah.
who's like, you might want to go to down the hall and speak to him. Lift has never says to this guy, you take the coke, I want you to be the MLK
Yeah.
of the hospital.
Yeah, the main.
He didn't believe he's too. He's
Because
not a
because he
leader,
was
yeah.
too white. He was too submissive.
He was too submissive. But he
Oh.
can facilitate getting the real leader in through the door.
It's a good point, actually. We're saying stuff like that because it's like sometimes in history, a person being a slave will rise up, get his freedom, and then own slaves of his own. And that could have been Cassius, where he gets out of the slave labor manual, get a lower level, so becomes a power collar,
Collar.
sorry, and then starts selling people like nobody's business. You know,
Yeah.
like the first day he sells like $10 million worth or something
Mhm.
of people.
Uh,
So he did kind of get his own identity and stuff like that, but it's the price of everyone else's. So
I liked, just to go way back to the start, when he's cold calling people, what they do is in the film is he literally drops into the room where the people are.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Even
with
when he was,
additive imagination, yeah.
but it's kind of, to me it was like, you literally, cold callers interrupt your day. They do. And they don't do it with fucking good news, do they? They do it like, I'm here and you have to deal with me right now. And so when he drops from the ceiling, bang in front of their face, whatever they're doing, on the toilet, having sex, you know, having their tea, anything, he literally, your cold callers drop into your lives and you have to deal with them. You have to tell them, go away, or you have to speak to them. I just like that. And even when he was like
That's great.
a power caller and he's selling tons of slave labor to phone manufacturers in Japan and stuff, it was still that. He would drop into front of them and deal with them in front of the face. I like that.
Especially with the instance with an old woman and her husband, I think he just passed or has like stage 4 cancer, and he's been told if you draw his head to stick to the script, and so he ends up turning to page 5. It's just like, turn their grief into something you can sell or something like that. Turn their problem into a product or something.
Yeah.
It was like, well, here's living without a husband or something like that. It's like,
no, was it not was it not something that's how to look after yourself? That was it, your well-being.
Yeah.
That was it, yeah.
Actually, it's just something like that.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my god. Yeah. Scummy. But at the end of the day, he's the person trying to get by as well. So.
Absolutely. So I think that's all the touch points I kind of wanted to raise with this film. You guys want to say anything else?
Just kind of like how things just went viral, like that with the whole can throw in the head video.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
and that ends up becoming an item of itself, and that's a product. And she ends up getting her own show, or like a song or something like that.
So we should say it's a protester, because the power callers have to break the picket line to get and keep working, while everybody else is staging a demonstration. And one of the demonstrators throws a can of cola, and it hits Keith Stansfield's character on the head, and it becomes a meme, basically. It goes viral, that clip.
But she ends up having like a song or something like that, and everyone just knows him as that guy. So that's quite realistic to see how meme or popular figures can become.
And it speeds it up, doesn't it? Because it's like within days. There's Halloween costumes and.
I've got a big afro that I think I'm going to attach a Coke can to for next Halloween.
That's a good one.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, you got the face for the horse bit anyway, so.
Oh, fuck you, Darren. Cheers, mate.
And that bombshell.
I thought we were used to.
Oh god.
Don't worry, I'll get you back.
Sure you will.
One thing I'll say about Tarig, he's a patient motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Right, Taj, what we're watching next week?
Right. So next week, I've got two options here. Okay, so I'll chuck it out there, see what you think. So the first one is, I've said this to you before. Okay, it's going a wee bit outside. I don't think you guys would have normally kind of went for it. It's Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so musical.
This is the musical.
I've
Dan,
seen
you
that actually.
see
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, have you? Ah,
Disney
excellent.
Plus. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Lin-Manuel Miranda. So it's Alexander Hamilton, hip hop, jazz, and R&B. It's I watched it. I don't know, a few months back, and still find myself going back to some of the songs and just kind of re-listening to them because they're
One of my friends was addicted to it. That's all I could watch for a month.
It is such a good. The tunes that he's done with this is just unreal, and how well he's kind of written them, and how long he's kind of took them. He's one of the big famous ones is One Shot. It took him a year to write, and he wanted to make sure that he could get every single word as poignant as he could within each line. And if the line had like 9 words in it, he had to make sure he could shrink that down to like 5 or 6 words within that line. And the whole kind of show.
A lot of songs are reused really to reiterate.
Yeah, you do have to listen to it because you've got to be able to dissect everything that he said. And so it's about one of the founding fathers, and it's a musical. And I don't think I'll ever be able to say enough to do it justice, but it is a really good. It's a really good watch. It's a long one though. I think it's about 3 hours.
It's
It's like a break in the middle. Yeah.
2 hours and 40 is what DB has got it as.
All right, fair enough.
I believe there's an intermission in the middle of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what?
It's no. You can pause it and fuck off for a pee if you want.
Just like you
and then come back and play it.
Just like you did a minute ago.
I don't think our listeners heard that.
No, they didn't. Tarig muted himself, went away to the toilet and came back.
Thankfully, me and Dan could just waffle.
Next time I'll keep the mute button unmuted.
Yeah. I got the thumbs up, so it felt like a good one.
if you hear like a it's Tarig.
Or a plop.
Well, this is just encouraging our sponsors to send in more beers and whatever we can to plug their products.
That's right.
And then unplug them and let them shoot down the drain.
Plug and unplug.
So yeah.
Right.
So that's the first option that we've got is Hamilton. I would say that we should definitely watch that. Another one is just a quick 45-minute documentary on movies. So it's on Netflix. It's the holiday movies that made us. So I watched this today. It was about Elf. Absolutely family favourite. So it's a deep dive into how Elf was made from the birth to everybody's favourite family. Well, one of the favourite family movies. It's a great insight into how it was developed, created, and yeah, it was. I watched a few of these, the toys that made us, which kind of brought into Transformers and Barbies, and how the concept of them came from the toy company, and they then branched out into all these different TV shows and so on and so forth. And the movies that made us. I
believe I've seen the Home Alone version of that.
Yeah, that was.
And I love that. That was like laughed out almost, or that was put on the shelf for a while. Like no one thought that was ever going to succeed for a while.
So I think you'll like the Elf one because there's a lot in there where you're like, come on, just because you know how big of an impact the film is, then you kind of see the process of all the different people that have potentially. Right, I don't want to give too much away, but
Right.
yeah, it's that one's only a 45-minute thing, and then I think the next one after that was The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I've not watched yet, but yeah, might give that a wee bash, and then there'll be more coming out throughout Netflix the way, but it is done Netflix way, so I'm not too great. It's not going to be a great one for us to do a deep dive in.
Yeah.
A deep dive into a deep dive won't be as entertaining, but
I think
Yeah.
we'd
those are
Elf and speak about that and Thing itself.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
Put
double.
them together.
Could be quite good
double
for
package.
2 weeks before Christmas. And
What do you think, Daz?
I would. We could definitely do Elf together if next week's Christmas Day.
It is. Next
Yeah,
week is
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be Christmas. We're going
I
to
would
do it-
love to talk about Hamilton one time though.
Yeah. But that could
Yeah.
be any time. Next
Yeah.
week will be the 15th or something.
14th.
Yeah, a couple of weeks
well,
before
as of
Christmas.
recording, yeah.
So let's do Elf then.
Elf,
So Elf,
and how,
Elf the movie and how, the Christmas movies that made us. Did you say?
yeah.
How the holiday movies that made
Holiday
us.
movies that made us.
Holiday.
So there'll probably be about 4 or 5 that I'll get chucked in there. So like I said, Elf, and then it'll be Nightmare Before Christmas, and then there'll be a couple more.
So
after
this
that.
will be a series
One-
of. Yeah,
There'll
Well,
be a series
there's
of
like,
them, but
there's
the first
episodes,
one's
yeah.
one's
yeah.
No.
And you want to talk about Elf? Just Elf?
Yeah, we could do a double package of Elf, and we could say, oh, this great bit in Elf, and then we could say, oh, as they mentioned in the documentary.
Yeah. No, I'm up for that. One thing though,
Mhm.
Darren, without giving too much
Mhm.
away, your favourite movie Santa was that
Yeah.
not from that?
That is from Elf, yes.
Is that going to be overkill?
Definitely not.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
The more
I've-
propaganda for that movie, the better. I think I'll help my case.
No, I've already got his movie shot down within seconds, so it's fine. Don't worry
You
about
are.
that.
I think you went in bright and early with Bugsy's or the more popular choices.
Ain't fast your last turn. Shake and
Okay.
bake.
So
Yeah.
next week we're going to do a triple threat gone in 60 seconds where we're each going to say who our favourite movie Santa is of all time, and we're going to discuss Elf and take a deep dive into how it was made and behind the scenes. Does that sound fair enough?
Yep.
Sounds
And
great.
anybody that votes for my Dawn in 60 Seconds, when the pub's open, I'll buy you a pint.
Yeah, this next week's one of just all the way up to the fans. No judges.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one's also up to the judge. If you want to keep me as rating Dawn, please vote for Shutter Island as Leo's best performance and not Django. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Krusty's Third Nipple and Apple Podcasts, give us a review and a 5-star rating, and get in touch with us at Krusty's Nipple on Twitter, and we'll see you down the road.
Bye.
And anybody at Harris Academy that knows my son, Brandon Brady, please do not listen to this and do not bully my son. Thank you.